Hey, you. Hello, hello. It's Rachel here, and I have a great topic today. How many times in the last week have you heard the word transform or transformation or transformational, some version of that? This to me is great. It's a sign that we're more interested in helping transformation in our world in ways that maybe weren't there a couple of years ago or in the work world or any world, really. And it's a buzzword, just like EQ or emotional intelligence. But what does it really mean? What is transformational leadership? What the heck and how the heck does that work? And how do you start, or how do you know if you're a transformational leader? So that's what today's podcast is about. And I want to preface this with some of the research that went into this episode. And a lot of it is from Bass and Riggio. They wrote a book together called Transformational Leadership. That's very obvious, but this came out in 2006, so that's almost 30 years ago. And the idea is that transformation has qualities, and they, in their eyes, have some definitions that go through what that might be. So I'm excited to share what this is. And then I would love you to reflect on your own leadership style. What are these qualities that you have? What are some gaps? What are ones that you want to bring more into your own world, whether it's the corporate team you lead or the team you're on or the leadership styles that you have? Because it is hard to be a transformational leader. And the definition of transforming is the following. It's becoming who you couldn't imagine you become. You couldn't have imagined you'd become this person, which means it's literally not just change. Change is kind of maybe doing some shifts, doing something different. That's great. Transformation is something you couldn't have imagined yourself doing or being. And that's big. So think about a company or a team. Transformation would be stepping into the unknown in a way that you come on out the other side in unimaginable ways from before. So that's the level of change that we're talking about, transformation. And I think everyone aspires to be this in the world, including myself, right? In the business world, at least. But what does it really take? What does it really mean? So a couple things off the bat. I think from the Bass and Riggio book, that is the new paradigm. We're all striving for transformation. And it's also an effective way of leading. There's other definitions that kind of are similar to this. James Burns, he's also a scholar leader in this area, defined this type of leadership that is taking things from transactional or bureaucratic exchanges to lead social change. Like, that's a big difference, right? And the actual definition that Bass and Riggio give is that it leads to change in organizations, elevated behavior of all the organization, transcending their own self-interest, and ultimately a change in the culture of the organization. When I read that, I think about it like it's going beyond what the company's vision is for itself, but influencing in a bigger meaning, and the culture shifts as a result. Because it's not just about the company. It's not about the bottom line, making your quarterly profits and reporting on Wall Street. No, it's about a bigger vision or a mission that company might hold. So when that happens, that's pretty motivating, right? So we do things that maybe were beyond what we originally expected, or we're inspired by that vision of a company that wants to go above and beyond. What also happens, and you might know this, is we feel empowered if we're working for this kind of a company. We feel supported, we feel empowered. We do things that create less dependency on the leader, but we're actually working on it within the company. I'm wondering, and I'm curious, as you look at your job, would you consider yourself at a transformational company today? Maybe you run a company. Is your company in this vein? Or is this something you aspire to do? Just good reflective questions. There's no right or wrong, but the idea is that you're able to figure out, what this looks like for you. All right. I want to talk about these qualities back to the Bass and Riggio Transformational Leadership book. There's 4 I's. So this is their framework. They talk about the 4 I's of transformational leadership. I'm going to go through these each one by one so that you can kind of identify these. And then these are the ones I want you to see if you've got that Cool. Maybe you want to bring it more into your work. And if this is something that's really resonating with you, this is what I help my clients with. This is what we work on. We work on being transformational. And it starts with you as the person. And you cannot have a transformational company because the company is made up of people. You cannot have a transformational company unless you personally are working to transform yourself into who you could become and who you couldn't have imagined you'd become. Does that make sense? I feel like that makes sense. However, it's not something outside of you. We have to be really vested to know this is about me at a personal level. How do I show up? Because you'll see in these 4 I's, it actually really relates to the person. And then extrapolate this out to the actual company, and you'll see how this can fit together. Okay, here's the 4 I's. These are again from Bass and Riggio. The first I, it's actually 2 I's, but it's 1 I, idealized influence. So transformational leaders serve as role models, and they are admired, respected, and trusted. So that means, we're idealizing them. They're also very, very influential. And they also emphasize the importance of having a collective sense of mission. So they are constantly rallying people together. As an idealized influence, that leader reassures others that obstacles will be overcome. They don't get in the way. They don't stop anyone. They are literally overcome. I think that that's such a great and powerful reminder. I feel empowered even just saying this out loud. Who doesn't want to have idealized influence? I think this is a big one. So think about your own idealized influence. Are you having a collective sense of mission? Do you rally people around a common cause? What is it that your company is working on to solve and to move forward in the world that just goes beyond the actual details and company, beyond the company, but it's consistent and it operates in that way in and outside of the company. I think that's great. Idealized influence is the first one. Okay, the second I is inspirational motivation. So again, it starts with an I, inspirational motivation. What this means is, as a leader, you're articulating a compelling vision of the future, usually through being charismatic and driving towards it. So a couple things there, right? Charismatic requires you to have some people skills. It requires you to engage and develop trust and rapport with others. But there's also this articulate component, being a communicator to convey what your vision is. So the leader literally is generating enthusiasm and optimism among followers and clearly communicating those expectations that need to be met in order to reach this shared vision. Huge, right? And so think back to a time, maybe you have had this in your company or you're doing this now, which is fabulous. What does that conjure up for you? Did you feel excited? Was there enthusiasm working on maybe a new product? Or being on a frontier of right now, it's AI, right? Everyone's talking about AI, and there's businesses on every level and different industries embracing this. To me, this is what kind of comes up for knowing that could be a big piece of inspirational motivation. But again, it's this communication aspect and articulating that along with everything else. I think that one's a really cool one. All right. The third I is intellectual stimulation, IS, intellectual stimulation. So this requires mastery in getting followers to look at the problems from so many different angles. It's not just a one and done thing, but there's an element of critical thinking involved, and there's taking existing assumptions and challenging those. What does that mean? It means new ways of thinking about things, challenging maybe the status quo, which might mean conflict. It might mean going and sparring a little bit about who has the different data or what the rationale is for one thing versus the other. So this is big, and that requires psychological safety in itself, because you cannot have that type of stimulation in a healthy way unless people feel safe to bring it up and to challenge maybe what maybe there's a rigor and something that's always been that way, but it's time to change it, and there's new ways of thinking. And so there's always an option of the stimulation, and that's what transformational leaders do, is they can help stimulate this, get a crowd or a room sharing about a topic and allowing different points of view to coexist and not getting fired up about it on an emotional level, but just noticing, what comes up for others, what are different topics. And it takes a very grounded leader to facilitate this. And that's exciting. And it's also a big skill. I think this is a really big one as well, because critical thinking is huge, right? For anything, whether it's the product you're developing or the marketing you're putting it out into the world with, or the communication plan that might side with a different perspective versus another, or the vision that's going to get told in the story that you're sharing with your clients or your partners or your internal team. I think that's really cool. One of the ways you can do this, by the way, is be really intentional as a leader with what you're saying and invite in different perspectives. And that could be a healthy, very consistent way for people to bring things up in a forum that feels safe and allows for different perspectives. I think that's a very, very strong way to think about intellect stimulation. Okay, let's go to the fourth I, the fourth and final I, individualized consideration. Individualized consideration. So here's a good one, and I feel like this one's overlooked a lot. Transformational leaders are concerned about the well-being of every single individual that they work with. So they show, in some way, individual consideration in terms of the needs or desires, getting to know people. What is this person motivated by versus this person? Knowing who they are. And I know you think about it, maybe a CEO has literally tens of thousands of people under him. He's not going to know, or she's not going to know every single person. My guess is they will know their direct reports. And then their direct reports will know their reports. And even if it's not a scalable thing and you still have 250 remote reports that you won't ever really know very well, a transformational leader can have individualized consideration and take time to have office hours so they can come in and meet the people on their team if people were interested, or to have skip level meetings where sometimes you meet with someone 2 levels down from you wouldn't otherwise really know very well, for feedback as well as learning about them. So individualized consideration is very important, and it's also empowering for the organization itself. This in turn, you know if your leader cares about you or not, if they've given the time of day to say hi in the hallway or knows your name. Like big stuff that seems so small, but it goes a long, long, long way. All right. And I think of all of the different things here. So the 4 together, again, recapping: idealized influence, inspirational motivation, intellectual stimulation, and individualized consideration. Those are all 4 critical aspects of a transformational leader, according to Bass and Riggio, one of the cornerstone foundational, like literally textbook books on transformation and what qualities leaders have who bring transformation. So I hope that that's been helpful. And again, reflect on your own instance of this. Are you, maybe it's a scale of 1 to 5. Which ones, where would you put yourself on these 4 qualities as an individual? Maybe you're really good with the communication piece, so you would score pretty high in that in the inspirational motivation. You're charismatic. People love to talk to you, and you love to talk to them, and you get a lot of insights from that, and they learn more about the vision of what you're doing. Awesome. But maybe you're not really open to a lot of other points of view. That's the intellectual stimulation. So you can work on that and say, how can I bring this in? How could I be more open to providing different points of view that will really be healthy in a way to generate new ideas? This, and by the way, goes along with a lot of diversity and equity inclusion, where we are trying to get more women on boards, where there are more people of color and at the table who can be in leadership positions, because that is intellectual stimulation when we have different backgrounds, different diverse experiences that we can draw from. That is truly incredible and a strength if you're able to bring that to your organization. All right. Well, I hope this has been helpful and you've learned a little bit about transformation. And remember, transformation is about who you couldn't have imagined you become. Who are you wanting to become? Like, what are your desires? Just start there. And maybe you don't know, and that's okay. But I recommend pausing to shift that and see what comes out. Allow yourself to dream, journal, go big. Maybe it's just something that seems insignificant for you, but it's actually quite large because you've never done that before. Or vice versa. Maybe there's something that seems really big and you're like, how the heck do I even start with that? I want to sail around the world. Like that might be an example, right? That was one of mine for a while. I've never done it and I don't really want to do that anymore, but it was one I had for a while. And I would need to probably think about that as a transformational shift. I would have to be very different person as a person and a leader to know and rely on myself to do that kind of work, to sail around the world for a year. All right, so have fun with this and let me know what you think. If this resonates with you, if you're interested in learning more about transformation, that's what I do. That's all I do. And I help leaders be more successful because they are emerging and transforming into who they couldn't imagine they'd become. And it's quite incredible, rewarding work for you and me and for everyone. So thank you so much for listening. And here's to your transformation. I'm so excited for you.